Welcome to a brand new episode of Getting to the Truth in This Art on MTR Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Lee. All 6 letters. Today's guest is interdisciplinary artist Ky Vassor. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So this is great. We're recording this. I see that you're out here. You're doing big things. I see your lovely face on different LED boards in and around Baltimore. And I'm like, I know that face. So could you describe your work? What is that, the interdisciplinary piece? Let's describe this a little bit.
Cool. So I feel like interdisciplinary gets thrown around a lot within art. A more concise way of me describing my work, I'd say, is saying that I'm a multimedia illustrator. I'm a mix between, I've had like some formal training, but very little, and largely sort of like trained myself, which is sort of where the mixed media elements come in, because it sort of supplements, at least for me, I feel like it supplements and forces me to like get my hands dirty and sort of rough. Like I have a piece behind me right now, and half of the lettering I did by hand, but I ended up like cutting out canvas to make it. So if that gives it like a broader, broader picture.
Yeah. That was the 30,000 foot view situation right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do hear it thrown around a lot, and having, I think, the artist, the creator, be able to express what their view on that specific like medium, that specific discipline, it makes sense to have that. So for you, and these are going to be out of order because I sent you the questions already. These questions are going to be all over the place. Ooh. Got some new ones in there now.
Is this a pop quiz? Wait a second.
It might be a pop quiz. Who knows? You'll be graded for this. No. So what do you feel is integral to your work as an artist?
A few things. I tell people that I don't necessarily make autobiographical work, but a lot of my work still deals with the fact that half of my family is Haitian and had to immigrate to the U.S. The other half is Southern and Black, and we live in a Southern state. And the fact that we live in an amazing city that I feel like people should get to know more about also drives me. So I'd say partially identity and partially like a sense of cultural preservation of all of those elements of my life. So yeah, that sort of drives it.
So bringing those things together, because I think it's important to like be able to identify, like here, with the exception of a few different guests I've had on, each person has had a very distinct and strong connection to Baltimore. And I feel like that's because you mentioned the Southern state piece of it. And
yeah.
And I feel like we're weird because I feel like we're in a Southern state, but I don't know if Baltimore's a Southern city, if that makes sense.
It's not. And that's sort of something else. Like I sort of try to cover within my work almost, where it's like we aren't necessarily a Southern city in some ways, but it's like you go up to New York, you're not a city. They don't even necessarily consider you. They're like, are you a small town? Where are you at? They're like, what's your accent? What's going on? So it's like, it's farther up north. No, but are we deep south? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a very interesting, sort of like in the middle or in between. But yeah, I think it's cool to cover or talk about.
And I think that's expressed in the flag, like having the Maryland state flag, having that dynamic. I think that's very similar to another legitimate, like Southern state, like Georgia. Like Atlanta is in Georgia, but there's that conflict there. And I think like the flag here, it kind of speaks on that conflict that, yeah, the state is this, but really here we are. we don't really mess with y'all like that. That's kind of how it's presented. So how important is it to have ties to Baltimore, to be an artist that's like, when you're traveling or you're putting out your art, you're having your conversations with different artists, it's like, how important is it to you to say like, nah, I'm a Baltimore artist, or do you even utilize that?
I think that because I try to I have so many ties here, and I plan on having ties here for my entire life. Like I feel like there isn't a point in my life where I won't at least have roots here, is sort of what I say. Like, even if I go move somewhere else, I'm still going to have stuff here. I think it's important to tell people, even on a national or international level, like, hey, I am from Baltimore. I'm proud to be from Baltimore. Like, I was raised here. I'm trying to put out phenomenal work to represent here. And I feel like other people are here doing the same thing. You know, I think that that's sort of like the going out and sort of like going out into the world and bringing back the knowledge that you accrued. I think that goes hand in hand with like, in a sense, rep your set. Like, yeah. So yeah, no, I think it's really, really important to sort of be like, hey, I'm from over West. Come find me.
Over West. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm originally from over West. So
hi.
Yeah, like Argyle Avenue, Dolphin Street, gang. Yeah. Uh-huh. I used to use this. I used to use this mixtape line from J. Cole. It's like, I rep my city and your city just so you know this is where I'm coming from. And sometimes that's made me a target. It's like, you don't sound like you're from here. So I have to like put the front on a little bit. But definitely I carry it heavy if I'm out of town. Gotta wear the appropriate colors. I don't want to be a fool, but yeah, definitely wearing like my Oreo stuff or something Ravens related, but just you don't shy away from it. And you know, I've done travel for different things like wrestling events and different podcast stuff and pop culture conventions. And it's definitely something on me that shows like, no, this is where I'm from. And it's interesting because people don't think I'm from here. People that's like here, like I'm 35 and always have been here. And they're like, you're from Philadelphia. You're from Connecticut. I was like, I'm from like Govins. Like, what are you talking about?
I've had very like the same / similar experiences with people here that'll pull me up and they'll be like, where are you from? I'm from Baltimore. Where? No. Where are you from though? And I'm like, here, right up the street. Do you want me to go past my child? We can go see my mom. Do you want to go see my mom?
I'm just like, yo, look, this is how I like my chicken box. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I want my hot sauce. I want my salt, pepper, ketchup.
I have my favorite place in Lexington Market, and that's it. That's it. Like, I don't.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what else to tell you. It's like, here's my identification.
I don't know. I think it's very odd because I think that especially because of so many television networks and stuff like that coming into Baltimore sort of like in the late 90s and early 2000s and creating films and shows and even like sort of like I think Charm City Kings just came out. Them doing that recently, which is dope. It gives a shine, but also like I think that there's an odd representation that usually comes with it. It's like a monolithic. If you're from Baltimore, you sound like this, you look like this, you're acting like this. We know how you like your chicken box. And it's like, no, you don't, but you don't know the best place to get one.
Yo. That's one of the things like, you know, like it was a point of contention. Cause I do a movie review show on this feed. And usually I cover movies that either have some video game connection or an anniversary year. But for the culture, I was like, this is a Baltimore movie. I should talk about it. And then I was like, I'm only going to have negative things to say. I don't want to be that guy. I was like,
the accents alone. Look here. I have a
It's like, yo, why is Meek Mill like the greatest dirt biker ever? It's like, I got concerns. It's like he's just yelling while he's riding by. So let's see, Baltimore. I have more artist questions. So what would you say an interesting trait about art in Baltimore is?
An interesting trait about art here?
Yeah.
I think a part of why I do preservation, or specifically some of my work centers around that is because of people that came before me. And I think early on what I saw that in was like the mural programs that are here, for instance. Like, I think that I think that there's like a unique way that people preserve things here and hold on to things. It's not always the healthiest. But but within the arts sector specifically, I think that so many people here are hell bent on paying homage to the people that came before them and making sure that future generations know about sort of like great Black artists from Baltimore. I think that that's super important. I think that even when I was in school, on like when I was younger and would go to like elementary, middle school here, my arts teachers always made sure to shout out local artists. Yeah, I think that the cultural preservation within our community here is just super duper strong. Yeah. Mm.
That's good. That's good. I think like paying homage, like homage. I always like saying it different ways because it's kind of funny. It's just like 90s rap style. But yeah, I think it's important because a lot of times people just won't know. And it's like, oh, this person lived here for a bit. And just in talking with different people who have ties, like especially through this podcast, who have ties to bigger places in terms of on top of mind, they'll say, oh no, you have to go through Baltimore first. This person was here. This person did this here. This musician was here. This artist spent time here and they did some of this work here. And a lot of times who, for whatever reason, you'll have people who don't want that out there or who don't want that to be discussed. So having artists such as yourself that have this inclination of preserving that and making that a thing, and that seems to be a theme in Baltimore, that's important. That's key. Yeah. I think artists kind of help with what makes Baltimore unique and what makes Baltimore cool, for lack of a better term. What would you say one of your favorite areas in the city is? And like, where do you elicit maybe? That's not on there. Where would you say? So your favorite area, and if it's the same thing, feel free, but your favorite area and maybe a place that you're like, you get inspired by.
Inspired by, I'd say Lexington Market, because that's where I spent the most time when I was in high school. Like, okay, I spent a lot of time there because I don't know, you can make $5 stretch down there, and they were one of the only places when I was growing up that you could actually sit in and they wouldn't kick you out. It was cool. So I guess in terms of inspiration there, one of my favorite places to just like go in the city. Oh, that's hard. That's a little difficult.
But I'll pad. So Lexington Market, right? So they're doing that rebrand or whatever the hell you want to call it. And I have my feelings on it. And 2 years ago, I worked a few blocks away from it. Well, I worked at Catholic Relief Services.
Oh, whoa.
And yeah, listening to some of my peers there, they had concerns about how dangerous it felt. And I was like, what are you talking about? Eating like lunch from there? And, and spending a lot of time there as a kid, that was like my dad's hangout. So it's just, we're going to be late to school today because my pop is hanging out at Lexington Market with fellas. And I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. So we're having breakfast here and we're getting candy. You're just shopping. This is what we're doing. I need to learn. And I think that that's one of those hubs. And it's just a shame that I just had concerns that things may change.
Yeah, for sure.
You see so many different people go through there. And I think it's just reminiscent because it's right there at like a train station. Like, it's just everything is coming there. So people from Owings Mills or people from East Baltimore, they're all converging there, and it's just like right there, and it's downtown. And you can just see people, you can just people watch. It's good people watching opportunities there. Oh. And, get a honey dip donut and all of that.
Listen.
That's a professional pad right there.
I appreciate it. I think I know what my favorite place is. I want to say it's kind of like the entire area of like between Druid and Mondawmin, like that entire little. Okay. I guess it's technically like the Mondawmin Mall area. It's weird, but these I keep going back to like these districts that my grandma and my mom would take me to as a child, and them telling me about them going there when they were younger, or like what it used to be and stuff like that. Because they were just like historic Black shopping districts. So like there was a sense of pride for me when I'd go to Mondawmin. Like people hate, when I was younger, it was way too dangerous, but like sometimes it was a little dangerous. But I loved it there. Like me and my mom had our favorite sub shop. Like there's those, nice. That's definitely one of my favorite like places, if not my favorite place in Baltimore. And Druid Hill Park's just beautiful. So like,
and I don't think it gets the attention. I remember it was a few times one of my buddies, we would extend that hour lunch break to a 2-hour lunch break, and we just hang over there and just have lunch. And it was just like, yo, no one really acknowledges like how cool Druid Hill is. And I mean, I used to go to Mon, being from West, I used to go to Mondawmin back in the day, and it's like, yo, we got We Are One here. You got, Charlie Rudo, all of these kind of very hyper local, like clothing stores. Yeah. It's just like changes. It's like, yo, I get that tracksuit? Word?
Listen, sometimes Jimmy Jazz had them. Sometimes.
Like, yo, they got it in that color? So back to the art a little bit. So I think you touched on this. I may pull it out, but what artistic movements or artists have influenced you? I think you touched on maybe some of the things here and some of the things you've seen here, some of the artists you've seen here, but are there any further ones, any movements or artists that come to mind?
Oh, like generally?
Yeah, sure.
I have two maybe three that come to mind like immediately. Baltimore, I'm going to reference Amy Sherald like immediately just because I adore her. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's gross. I adore her. She's great. I feel like I learned a lot from how some people say that she's like a limited palette. But I actually think that it's quite expansive. Like when you don't use 30 or 40 colors in your pieces, sometimes like I feel like things shine through a lot more. I feel like it helped me become a better mixed media. Her work helped me become a better mixed media artist. So Amy for sure. Another person I'm going to reference is I believe his name is Casimir. He's like a Haitian artist whose work gets like replicated a lot, and his work usually like I think my family had his work up a lot when I was younger, just because it gets reprinted so much. Mm-hmm. But I feel like his style had influenced me quite a bit. I think like the height of his work was in the 50s and 60s, and he might have been like traditionally trained. I think. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. But he might have been. His work, I feel like since I was younger, was something I would literally look up and see, no matter what house I went to. It was like, oh, it's at home. Like whether it's my grandma's house or my mom's house. So it was really cool.
Of course, I'm looking these things up as you talk about them. Because I mean, selfishly, I learned from. I was like, look, when I can go to, I'm start pulling up at galleries, right?
Yeah.
Dressed very pretentiously, ruffle shirt, the whole thing, and just like, yeah. So this looks like Laurent Casimir's earlier work. It's like, get out of here. I have a Basquiat wig on. It'll be the whole thing.
No, I mean, you can do it though. It's true, but
I'm gonna give it a shot.
I reference him because he came up during a time when there was a big clash in Haitian art between naivism within Haitian art, which is sort of like untrained artists, which is what I also call myself a lot. I'm a naive artist, versus like institutionally trained or classically trained artists. So it's like, if you want, that's technically like an art period that heavily influenced me. And the last one being like some of my relatives are artists, like on my dad's side, because they're Haitian and everyone does art in some way. So they're all really talented and nerds like me. So it's great. It's amazing. Well,
being a nerd and being talented is I've spent the last 12 years as a podcaster trying to do that.
I think you've done it. I think it's.
I'm just a failed artist. It was like the friggin' like Baltimore School of Arts was like, I don't know. I was like, damn, I guess we're out of here. That's literally what happened.
You know what? I think I saw something recently that was like, what was a school within Baltimore you wish you could have gotten into? And the only one that I wished that I could have gotten into was Baltimore School of the Arts. I didn't get into Twigs when I was younger, so I was like, I guess I'll just dissipate into another school. Thank you very much.
I was just like, I guess I'm done with this. I'll start to write, I guess, and see what that happens. Guess there's alcoholism and cigarettes in my future.
I guess I'll be an English major.
So let's see. In your opinion, mm-hmm. Or no, in someone else's opinion, I'll make it hard for you. No, in your opinion, what do you believe are some of the key elements for creating good art? Or that's probably a little loaded, good art, but what are some of the key elements in creating art? Because it's subjective, I guess.
I think that a lot of people don't consider art way more fluid than I think of it. If I'm being honest, I think of it kind of like people think about math, where there are generally standard rules that you should probably follow if you want to create like a well-balanced piece. Of course, if you know what you're doing, you can break those rules, but like, I think that a good foundation is sort of like the only way that you can really make good or decent work. At least in my opinion, like maybe there's some people that are just like, they're gifted, they're savants, they came out of the womb.
I know there's a little French accent there too, by the way. There's savants.
The savants.
I'm like, all right then.
No, but some people are just gifted like that. I found that 9 times out of 10, though, that's not a thing for most people. Even if you are gifted to an extent in some way, I think that you will lack in others, and it will show in your work if your foundation is crap. So yeah, I don't know. I guess somebody that likes studying, that's to me that what usually makes good art. The effort that's put into it, and getting better at it. I don't know. That's to me, but it doesn't necessarily need to say anything, but it at least needs to evoke something. So I don't know.
That's come up because I literally found myself as a person that dabbles. I dabble in multiple things,
Ooh.
Drugs, art, whatever. We'll talk about that later. But I remember speaking with one of my peers, and it was like, yeah, so is this good? It's like, I don't know. Do you feel something? And it was just off of the cuff or what have you. Mm. And for me, it was just like, all right, that's a true feeling. Like I didn't think about it, didn't feel contrived. It was just right there. Do you feel something? And kind of looking at something that may not be quote unquote good as a little maligned, I always look at this one reference because what I was trying to do at the School of Arts, I was trying to go into comic books. I would do the whole thing from writing, drawing, inking, the whole thing. I now just write a comic book and I can send you links to some of the stuff that I've done, but it's a cat comic book too. And and they would joke this dude, Rob Liefeld. And he is the creator of Deadpool. He's famous for that. Yeah. And they did this like book, and it was like how to draw like Rob Liefeld. And it's maligned because he can't draw anatomy well. It is always made fun of. So like it's a picture of Captain America that looks like he has like double D breasts. And it's like, look, if we look at your spine, if we were to put a backbone here and do the anatomy, it doesn't work. But that dude is very famous and he gets a lot of work.
I was about it. Listen, there are a lot of people. I think of, I think it was kind of Da Vinci that wasn't actually great at drawing. If you look at a lot of his work, didn't draw women very well. Everyone was essentially a statue, which is fine. It's fine, you know, still very famous.
It's like with athletes. It's like, that's a travel. When someone's playing basketball, like, that's a travel. No, that's his signature move. That's a travel, though. You're not what? What
are you critiquing? Right.
So got a few more questions, and I'm going to give you back the rest of your day and opportunity to do some shameless plugs for yourself. Let's see. Finish this sentence. Baltimore is
how?
Ellipses.
It's home.
Is home?
It's home.
Okay.
She's trifling, but she's home. She's
It's like that thing of like, yo, being black is like lit. It's a little dangerous, but it's being lit. It's lit.
It's dangerous, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I feel like it's cool. I don't feel like it's dangerous all the time. I don't feel like I have a bad day because I live in Baltimore all the time. I know there's some other people that have like different circumstances than me though, which would make them be like, I want to leave. And I can't blame anybody for that, at least if they're from here. Now, if you're not from here,
it's like, yo, and you're like, I want to get out your mouth.
Exactly. I want to leave. You can go. But if you're from, like, I don't know. If you're from here,
I love listening to certain people throw around that'll go to like areas that have clearly been gentrified, like kind of around Station North. I'm like,
oh, definitely.
And it was like, it's a little sketch over there. I was like, next to the tapas place or where? Cause like, I'm confused.
And coffee shop?
Like, oh, which coffee shop? I'm
like, next to the train station? Are you okay? It's not even the subway. It's the Mark train station. Are you good?
North Ave Marketplace? What? All right, then cool.
They got security outside. Are you okay?
Right. Say, all right, then cool. Last question that I had. What is your most unusual talent?
Oh my goodness. Is anxiety a talent? Because I feel like that's.
Hey, we're just trading notes here.
I'm like, I feel like that's because if I'm being honest, I'm a pretty boring person. I don't have like unusual. What can I do? I'm not like ambidextrous or any of that other stuff. Unusual. What do I do?
That's better than what I would say. Someone would ask me this. I'm like, I'm 6'4". That's the only unusual talent I have. Like, I don't know too many tall.
It's definitely anxiety and self-deprecation. Those are my unusual talents. Like, that's all
I'm here for it. We're for the same tribe then.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like, you don't want to listen to this because I'm on it. Like, wow. Well, that works.
I was like, I hope it. I was like, I promise I have nothing else. I can sew kind of, but it's not great.
See, well, that's something. And you double down with the self-deprecation part of it. So There you go. It's like, it's sewn as in it's stitched together, but is it good? Who's to say? So shamelessly plug, anything that you want to plug. And thank you again for coming on to this podcast. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. This is cool. Okay. I have an art show coming up soon, but I don't know when this is coming out. So just check out my
social media.
Yeah, exactly. Check out my IG. It is at Ky Artin on Instagram, which is spelled KYARTIN. I don't really have any other social medias. Please don't find me on Facebook. I don't think I want that. Please don't. It's my personal account. That's why I don't want it. Please don't find me on Facebook. Please.
Don't look.
Don't look.
Do not look on Facebook.
It's clean. I just don't do it. Don't look at it, please. You'll find out how much of a weeb I am. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, no.
Please.
So that's it. So I'm going to do my sign off and then that'll be that. I'm Rob Lee. And for my guest, Ky Vassor, this has been Getting to the Truth in This Art, saying that there's art in and around Baltimore. All you have to do is look for it.